age, bringing news from a different page. Truth served hot and bold and strong. Every week we sing along. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Stories that make you think and pray. A light awaits at the end of day. Guided by the stars and stripes, through the stormiest of nights. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. When the world feels like a fight, hold your ground, stand for what's right. In the truth we'll find our way. Ed and Ronnie light the way. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Together we find unity.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the True News Wednesday edition of Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. I am Ronnie. Pastor Ed is taking a little bit of a sabbatical, and frankly, I'm kind of burnt out as well. I've got some new stuff to cover. We'll have a few yucks because you know me, always gonna laugh about crazy liberals. I mean, that's just how things go. But I'm going to start off with some pretty serious news that just came out today.
Good evening, I'm Bill Malugin, and this is your Fox News report. The war with Iran is, quote, very close to over. That's what President Trump told Fox Business. The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz continues. No ships have passed during the first 48 hours. The Pentagon now reporting nearly 400 U.S. service members have been injured since the start of Operation Epic Fury. A Chinese researcher is sentenced to 4 months in prison after being busted for smuggling E. coli into the U.S. Prosecutors say he received a package falsely labeled as women's underwear from a Chinese science company back in 2024. He pled guilty and will be deported after his sentence. An Oklahoma high school principal risks his life to stop a gunman. Video shows a former student armed and walking into the school before trying to open fire, but that attack was foiled when Kirk Moore tackled him. Moore was shot, but is expected to be okay. A massive crash on a Colorado highway, leaving 19 people injured. Authorities say about 70 vehicles were involved amidst snowy conditions Tuesday. One person suffered serious injuries. And a large chunk of ice falling from the sky and crashing into a California house. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. The homeowner says ice could be from a plane passing overhead in Whittier. The FAA now investigating. And remember, it's tax day. If you still need to file, you have until midnight, or you can always request an extension. In Washington, I'm Bill Malugin. Have a great night.
lot to throw at you straight out from the jump. Yeah, a huge car accident there due to snowy conditions and a chunk of ice falling out of the sky. But the thing I wanted to touch on was the principal tackles the gunman. He was shot. He's expected to survive. And that's some heroism right there. A former student comes into the school with a gun, and man, he was no nonsense. Straight NFL tackled that guy, and kudos to him. If more stuff like that were to happen, or if more areas were not gun-free zones, which are basically target-rich environments in my book, then maybe more of this stuff wouldn't happen. Maybe there wouldn't be so many shootings, and the Brits, our oldest allies, wouldn't look at us like this.
How come Americans have the right to kill anyone they want with a gun?
Well, they don't. Murder is illegal in the United States, but they do have the right to own weapons.
They have the right to bear arms.
Correct.
But bears don't have arms.
They do, actually.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
I thought they were legs.
Well, I'm not a biologist, but I suppose that when they stand up, they're probably arms.
I can't tell if that was satire or if it was like a Daily Show, the English version of the Daily Show. Ha ha, bear arms, whatnot. But is that the way the British people really think of us? Is that we just have the right to go around shooting whoever we want, whenever we want? Craziness overseas. Sorry for my stupid dog. So I've got some stuff on the blockade, which is still going on. It's actually day 2, day 3, whatever it is. This was the message that went out to all the ships at the time of the blockade. I thought it was pretty interesting.
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action. All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving, and discontinue transit to Iran if that is your next port of call. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction and seizure, transiting to or from an Iranian port. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance. Now.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, could you imagine, being a ship and hearing that come over the whole the United States Navy, and I'd be definitely turning around and backpedaling. That's for sure. Here is some more information on the blockade and what's going on.
If you doubt obey my orders, I will open fire immediately.
Engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you, and I intend to abide by rules of our government ceasefire. Over.
This is the extraordinary exchange, supposedly between a US Navy ship and Iranian forces, that took place over the weekend.
You are heading to the Persian Gulf and it's against Iranian law. So, advise you to alter course, go back to the Indian Ocean immediately.
This broadcast was sent to us by a stranded sailor on board a tanker in the Persian Gulf.
Attention all vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and Persian Gulf. You must clear this area because we are engaging in opening fire in some unknown warship in the area. Out.
The United States and Iran have offered competing versions of what happened. US Central Command said 2 Navy-guided missile destroyers had transited the strait to conduct operations to ensure the strait is fully clear of sea mines previously laid by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Iran disputes that the ships managed to cross, with a semi-official Iranian news outlet claiming that an American destroyer was promptly met with a military response from Iran. Whether the ships did or didn't transit the strait, it shows the escalating situation in the Strait of Hormuz, threatening an already fragile ceasefire as US President Donald Trump tries to force the waterway to reopen. Iran maintains a stranglehold on the strait since the ceasefire was announced. These messages have been broadcast to ships by the IRGC's Navy.
The Strait of Hormuz is closed, yes. If any vessel tries to transit through the Strait of Hormuz without our permission, will be destroyed. Out.
For sailors, this kind of broadcast doesn't feel like an empty threat. The UN's International Maritime Organization says there's been 21 attacks on commercial ships, killing 10 seafarers with more injured around.
Now, obviously, that was a little bit older information, but it still rings true. That was before we put their entire navy on the bottom of the sea. This is what the Strait of Hormuz looks like right now. Obviously, still not a whole lot of traffic going through. These smaller little dots are just fishing ships, which, I mean, they're not that big of a deal. But anything you see here in red, those are oil tankers from whatever, country. That's Chinese. Doesn't really say. Indian, China, Japanese. Now, as Donald Trump was saying, though, that all these oil tankers are turning around and heading towards America, to buy our drill baby drill. I don't know too much about that right now. I haven't seen too much about it. But as you see here, all these ships are still just stranded. Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, all because of this little bitty section here, this Strait of Hormuz being closed down. It'd be really cool to see U.S. naval warships to kind of see how they're doing in this area. But they don't have that up. Of course, they're not going to let us see it. And as I was pulling up the ships, might as well pull up the planes and see what's going on. Now, Flight Radar 24 does show military flight traffic, but not like in theater, not not in active engagement. This is pretty interesting. This is a Doomsday plane. Was the first plane I clicked on. With the call sign Flash 22. We'll pull up. This is a Doomsday plane here. Boeing 747 E4B. When I was at work earlier by Camp Atterbury, throwing rocks in the river, we were watching Apache helicopters from Shelbyville actually flying overhead. It was pretty cool. Let's go over here to the other side. Pegasus, this is like a nuke sniffer. They detect nukes in the water, submarines, stuff like that. The United Arab Emirates cargo plane, an American cargo plane. Nothing really fancy going on over here. That's the number 2 tracked plane in the world. It's a strata tanker. It's a big flying gas station. Another strata tanker. But yep. So the situation in Iran is still evolving, and we'll keep bringing you as much information as we can get. Over here on the state side wise, dealing with the fallout from Trump's picture where he was, in his words, dressed as a doctor. He took the post down. At least there's that. To my knowledge, there's been no formal apology for anything. I know it's upset a lot of people. He also has gone after the Pope, and I've got some info on that.
Why did you attack Pope Leo on Truth Social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
So that's what Donald Trump had to say about Pope Leo. Here's what Pope Leo had to say about President Donald Trump.
I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loudly against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states.
Which, you know, frankly, is not a bad thing. You know, honestly, that's what one of the things Donald Trump campaigned on was that he was going to be the ender of wars, and you know, I like that. You know, I like a strong military. I like knowing that if we have to go to war, we can defend ourselves. You know, we can protect American citizens. But then, you know, a lot of people are also saying if you go down rabbit holes, the whole Iran deal was Israel. It was Israel's go, and we just followed them because we're an ally. I don't know. This is don't remember the gentleman's name, but he was talking about the Pope.
As an American and as a Catholic, I'm offended by Donald Trump's remarks about the Pope. I mean, the Pope was talking about peace. The Pope was talking about reconciliation and avoiding violence. I mean, Donald Trump launched an illegal and reckless war. I mean, Donald Trump is, is hardly a person of high moral character, and he's not in a position to lecture the Pope. I mean, I think Catholics all around the world are offended by Donald Trump. And I'm with Pope Leo. And I hope more people listen to him. We need a world that is less violent and that is more peaceful. And I hope people follow his words.
You know, it's awful funny coming from a gentleman on the left. You know, the how the world needs more peace and all that. When you know a lot of the things going on in the world are caused by unhinged leftists. You know, all the way back to the dawn of leftists. But you know, look at Charlie Kirk. That wasn't a conservative. You know, the last mass shootings. You know, they're transgenders and stuff like that. But you know, he had me until he started talking about his illegal and reckless war, and I get the point of what happened in Iran, and I get the point that all these other presidents tried but never, you know, accomplished. But you know, Donald Trump's going to take shots, and here's more. This is Van Hollen.
And now we see the same president who attacked the Pope putting images of himself online as if he's Christ. This is a deranged man. This is a man that should have no connection to being commander-in-chief. It's a man who's putting Americans at risk, people around the world at risk. And so I just want to say, along with my colleagues, when you're looking at a president who's so unhinged, why is it we can only find one Senate Republican, Rand Paul, to say no, to say they're going to exercise their constitutional responsibilities and make sure we end this illegal war that is making it.
There it is again, ending this illegal war. You know, I don't see how it's an illegal war. But him calling out the one Senate Republican, Rand Paul, what he meant to say was rhino. That guy always is, he's just a little bit left of Karl Marx. I don't care for him. So anything that he says or does or votes for, I really don't care too much about. You know, still goofy stuff. This young lady, I don't know who she is, but man, she had some stuff to say.
We wanted to eliminate abuse and fraud. We'd eliminate the president of the United States from the office right now and the rest of the sycophants in his administration that are allowing him to do so many illegal things.
Apparently there are sicko pants or whatever the word she used in his administration that are allowing him to do illegal things. Now, granted, the whole picture, you know, of him dressed as a doctor if that's what he calls it. To me, that's not illegal, and we all kind of knew going in. Mean tweets, that was the joke all along. But like we said on Monday, when you literally kick, your entire voter stratus, while they're down, with a stupid post like that, but it's hard to get behind the guy. It's hard to sit there and still support him. It's hard to, when you've got Grandma Sassy Pants over there calling his entire administration sicko pants, or that's the first time I've ever heard that word. So, it is what it is. But getting on from that topic, I found this video, and I think it's true of how we get through the time now. Whole lot of Jesus and a whole lot of medication. I thought that was pretty good. This one I've had in the pocket for quite a little bit of time. This is a church. I don't recall what church, but they're talking about what song would be Jesus's exit song when he come walking out of the tomb.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Public service announcement by Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho.
Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Eric just sang this in his sermon, and he did a little shimmy with it, and so I'm going to do the shimmy too. He said, guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Back again.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Wash by Elevation.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Something like Return of the Mark by Mark Morrison.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West.
Excuse me, was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
I'm the Boss by Rick Ross.
I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
Probably Glorious Day by Passion.
You called my name, and I ran out of that grave.
If Jesus had a walkout song after the resurrection, what would it be?
You Can't Stop Me by Andy Mineo.
That's all you got. You can't stop me.
Now, that video is cute and all, but the Glorious Day, that's the only one that literally had the lyrics in it. You called my name and I came running out of that grave. One of my favorites to play on the drums in church. I like to get behind the kid on that one. It's a good song to play. Let's see here. JD Vance today was at a speech. I worked all day. I really can't say I worked that hard today, but I didn't get a chance to see where, but I did see he got heckled quite a bit, and this is one little part of it. And he handled it quite masterfully.
I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. And that's one of the things that I try to do. And it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant.
Now, you can hear what this guy was saying in one of the other videos that I had. Term had, I don't anymore, unfortunately. He was calling the whole Trump administration murderers and criminals and, typical loony leftist liberals. And speaking of loony leftist liberals, I found more footage from the Canadian clown show that we have showed so many times. This goes into a little bit more of the gender equity and inclusion cards.
My name is Adrian Smith. My pronouns are they, them, et puis elle. I will thank you not to call me Madam Chair or Madame la Présidente.
And Madam and Chairs. Thank you.
Again, thank delegates not to call me Madam Chair or Madame la Présidente. I'm a non-binary person. My pronouns are they, them, and their. Chair is sufficient. We're going to start with our anti-harassment policy. Every person here, the New Democratic Party of Canada is committed to ensuring that all party activities are conducted in an environment that is free of harassment and discrimination. Harassment or discrimination includes sexual harassment, and it is an expression of perceived power or superiority by one person over another. I'll signal also this yellow card, which is available at all of the microphones. This is a way for a delegate to signal to the chair that they have a gender identity other than man, and this allows you to exercise priority in the speaking order. We will come to you earlier.
I felt that gender parity was not very well respected in the last resolution debate. I just want to remind folks to consider that where they are in line, who has spoken. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. We have an awkward procedural solution for the fact that some voices have dominated this hall in the past, and I'll draw people's attention, at least on the question of gender, to this colorful card. If you have a gender identity other than man, you can wave this at me and I'll move you up the line. But I think the point that we've heard before from another delegate is that there is a predominance of cis white dudes, and you might look and see who else is at the microphone behind you. For the information of delegates, I want to be very clear that at your convention, the equity card applies to gender equity. This is the decision you collectively have made. Those delegates from Ontario might remember that at the Ontario convention, we used the cards more broadly for members of all equity-seeking groups. I'd encourage you to consider that as we move along towards the future that we all deserve. I will invite delegates to assist me in better using the card by forming a straight line behind the microphone with a prominently displayed equity card. If I see speakers ahead of you who are not holding a card prominently, it would be wrong of me to guess about their gender identity, and I will come to you. This applies so far, according to your rules, for gender identities other than a dude, but it is open to us to change our rules as we like as we move forward into the bright and golden future.
Did that fella just assume my identity and my gender? A lot of cis white dudes. You know that first off, the whole clown show thing with all these goofy rules and all this absolute pathetic and nonsensical procedures just to make sure everyone has their say is a joke enough. But then for this thing to stand there and say, boy, there sure are a lot of white dudes in the audience. Come on now. How ridiculous is that? How much more difficult can they make anything? Just tell everybody, hey, you're going to get a chance to talk, whether you're white, whether you dress up with your nifty little tie and say your pronouns are Z's or zippity doo dah days or whatever. I mean, come on. You know, just everybody's going to get a chance to talk. Just, you know, all you Canucks are going to hear what each other's got to say. And half of the people that they had talking on the other ones that we showed before were just basically complaining about the last guy that was talking. So, you know, how about everybody just shut up, sit down, listen to whatever, you know, nifty little ties guys got to say. Everybody, you know, Madam Chair, don't call me Madam Chair. Come on. How ridiculous can stuff be? You know, it's literally going to get to the point where no one's going to get a chance to talk. No one's going to be able to talk. Nobody's going to want to talk because of, you know, Zippity Doo there, who, you know, with their nifty little tie and all. There sure are a lot of cis white guys. I mean, you know, it's Canada. There's a lot of cis white guys. I mean, you're not in Africa. I mean, how racist would that be to be staying up in Africa? Boy, there sure are a lot of black people around here. Come on. Ridiculousness. But hey, you guys keep laughing. I keep finding them. I'm going to keep playing them because that is just an absolute clown show, and it makes me laugh every time. Just like this guy coming to a polling booth near you here in Indiana.
Hi all, Chloe Andis running for Indiana State Senate, District 15. This Speedway is the closest gas station to my apartment, and gas here has gone up about $1 over the last month. Why? Because the war in Iran is disrupting a major supply chain choke point. Much of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping lane for oil.
Thanks for the information, Chloe. My goodness, next to your apartment, gas has gone up $1. I had more videos I cannot deal with. Chloe. Absolute insanity. But hey, things could get worse. Remember this guy?
Mr. Chairman and Chancellor-elect Dean, and by the way, I always want to turn around to one guy and say, Barack, what are you doing? Come here. I feel like he should be standing on the right and I should be standing on the left. Hey, you done this look at Barack? Anyway, as they say, you done good, fella.
Well, you know, I tried.
Come on, Brandon. The guy had similar features. But isn't it racist that all black people look alike? Is that how I want to say that? At least how Brandon sees it. Not intending to come off sister. My apologies if I did. But let's go, Brandon. He's still around. So like I said in the beginning, I don't have a whole lot to cover a whole hour. It's hard to do, an hour, when you're used to bouncing things back and forth. I'm getting near the end of my list of stuff here. I'm intending to be back on Saturday. If I'm back on Saturday, it will be just me. I may do a campfire version because it's supposed to be nice this weekend. I'm on call, and I might just go find a patch of woods and build a fire. And if I do, then I'll be back, and we'll have a campfire chat like we talked about doing for a while. But let's see here, 2 more news stories, funny video, and we'll bounce out of here. Now, if my mother were here, she would say that I was in love with baby Jessica. If you remember baby Jessica from the 80s, I'm 42 years old. I don't remember exactly how old I was when she fell in the well, I believe in Texas. I don't remember much. I mean, that was an eon or two ago. But baby Jessica, the little girl who was rescued from the well, is back in the news again, and it's not a good thing.
Sad update on a woman who became famous worldwide when she was just a toddler. You might remember her as baby Jessica. Back in 1987, the 18-month-old captivated the world as crews spent nearly 60 hours rescuing her from a well in Midland, Texas. Now 40 years old, Jessica McClure Morales is facing assault charges. She was arrested Saturday after an alleged domestic disturbance at her home in Texas. She has since been released on bond.
We're all God's children. We all make mistakes. Best of luck to her in the future. I was 3 years old in 1987. She was 18 months old, however old. But I remember my mother always telling me how much I was in love with baby Jessica. And unfortunately, she's not doing so well right now. But our thoughts are still with you, baby Jessica. Now, I mentioned this on Monday, and it's funny. So, as many of you know, I was in law enforcement. Of course, that was back in the days where there was cell phones, but not cell phones that you could scroll through Tinder or something on. But this is just something else. LAPD, man.
That the deputy on the left right here
was on his phone, appearing to be on a dating app. You see him scrolling through that woman's profile there on the app. And it all started with this. The failed use of the new technology called the grappler sent the car into the wall there. And then for hours, SWAT deputies tried to negotiate with a man to come out of the car. And while SWAT was beginning to escalate the tactics they were using different types of gas, drones, and even banging out the windows here, it was something we caught a deputy doing from SkyCow. Take a look at the video here. You'll see as SkyCow was moving around trying to see each of the things that the deputies had, we noticed that the deputy on the left right here was on his phone, appearing to be on a dating app. You see him scrolling through that woman's profile there on the app before swiping left and then swiping left 2 more times. It's important to note that because look how close he is. This barricade was active. The suspect was still alive at this point and armed, while this deputy right behind the cover of the Bearcat is sitting there scrolling through what appears to us to be a dating app. Now, we did look at the back.
So this SWAT officer is scrolling through this dating app, literally on the other side of the barricade. Unfortunately, the suspect unalived himself, and I believe that officer is going to get into a little bit of trouble. You got to think nowadays, and where everything's recorded and everything's on tape, that if you're going to be 20 yards from a barricaded armed suspect, maybe not pull out your phone and scroll through whatever dating site he was on. Like I said, just like with baby Jessica, we're all sinful. We're all sinful and fall short of the glory of God. So, that's pretty much that. The only other thing I've got, and I can't verify it, so I'm not going to touch on it right now. It's air traffic between some planes. I can't verify it. Is not AI, so I'm not going to play it. We will touch on Trump's arch coming supposedly this year, hopefully Saturday. And I'll have more information on the Strait of Hormuz. I keep monitoring everything. Sorry for a shorter version without Ed of Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie, but we all need to take a break. Nothing wrong with that. So, let's see here. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to remember the name of the song I picked for the closing. It's this is Red, White, and Assume here. Ashes of Eden. Song's called Holy Rain. So thank you so very much for being here. I really appreciate it. We hope to see you again on Saturday, unless something else happens. In which case, Ed or I'll be back. Maybe both of us. Who knows? Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. And until then, please do not forget to go out and do the right thing. Okay?
Thank you, God.